Hi everyone, my name's Scott. Welcome to Planes, Trains, Everything, and welcome to Glasgow's Buchanan bus station. Tonight I'm going to start one of the longest, if not the longest, coach journey of my life, from Glasgow to Gibraltar. It's a total of 1,915 miles or 3,081 kilometres, and I'll be spending 3 nights on board a bus. But I've got a cunning plan, and I'll tell you what that is later on. Tonight I'm catching the 9:45 PM service with National Express down to London, Victoria. It is a night service, so you're not going to hear too much from me until I arrive into London. I've got a 2-hour connection in London, and that's just in case this coach service is delayed. It gives me time to freshen up and time to get breakfast, and then I'll tell you why I'm very excited about travelling on Flixbus between London and Paris. You don't hear that too often, do you? Right, let's get on board, and I'll see you when we're in London.
Not new, mate, but just a relatively I've been seen working on success.
Moment 5 minutes. Leave the bottles you gave.
2 AM and we're at Knutsford Services, which is kind of just south of Manchester. That's one thing I like about National Express. They always give you a break, whereas if you go on Megabus or Flixbus, it's straight there. So we're here stretching our legs for about 15 minutes, then we're on the road again. Good news and bad news. The good news is we've arrived into London. Bad news is we're 25 minutes late, and that's cutting into my breakfast time. Everything was going according to plan until we got to Knutsford Services, and we were pulling out of the services area, and the guy next to me suddenly went up to the driver and said, "Do you realise you've left 2 passengers behind?" So he suddenly slammed the brakes on. They both went in, and they found the passengers relaxing, sipping cappuccinos in Costa Coffee. So they were put back on the bus. Then the bus driver spilled his coffee and he pulled over on the hard shoulder on the motorway to mop up. We then had a diversion off the motorway. There was an accident on the motorway. So it was all happening last night. Anyway, I'm heading down to, is it called Victoria Place? Yes, I can see it now, Victoria Place. There's a Leon there. They do a really good breakfast roll and coffee. I've got an hour and a half before the second bus, which is Flixbus on to Paris. Well, that didn't go according to plan. Leon don't open until 8 o'clock on a Saturday, and it's 7 AM. So it's back to the bus station again. Plan B, there's a Costa Coffee, but plan A, I think there's a pub nearby. Maybe they do a quick breakfast. We'll find out. That's the pub now opening. A little bit late for that. I discovered a Black Sheep coffee across the road from the bus station. You know how you've got your heart set on something like a roll and sausage or a bacon roll or something? They tick the boxes. And a black coffee, so I'm way up to cruising altitude now. Right, let's find this bus to Paris. Oh, and I was going to tell you why I was excited about this. I have caught a number of continental coaches out of London. I've been to Prague, I've been to Sofia, Amsterdam, Brussels, Paris, and every time I catch these coaches, they're either at night, and so the ferry journey is at night and you see nothing, or if it's during the day, they use Eurotunnel and you see nothing. But today, it's a daylight service on a ferry, at last.
In advance.
And here we are at Dover. There was total carnage at Victoria Coach Station. I never book row 1 on these continental coaches because row 1 is usually allocated for the relief driver, bags, jackets, that kind of stuff. So you can imagine the disappointment of some passengers after paying a supplement, expecting to get row 1, to find they're not getting row 1, so they sat in row 2. Guess who paid a supplement to be in row 2? This one here. So it was total carnage. I ended up sitting in someone else's seat, and eventually the bus driver just said, sit where you like. I had an Australian woman come up to me and ask, where is row 20? And I said, it must be up the back somewhere. And she said, no, it only goes to row 12. And I thought, right, okay. They've obviously substituted the coach, which was confirmed by a woman who came in from Victoria Coach Station to explain the carnage is because they've replaced the coach. Then there was a bit of an uproar because people had paid a supplement. You can get a refund, blah, 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 blah. The driver was getting really quite annoyed at this point. Poor guy, it wasn't his fault, but I understand enough French words to indicate he wasn't happy. He tore off his high-vis jacket, threw it on the coach seat, and then stormed out for about 10 minutes, and then came back again. Yeah, it was a bit messy, but we've made it here, and we're just soaking up some rays, waiting for our DFDS ferry. Oh, and I forgot to mention, nice little surprise, we got a meal voucher as well. And we're on board. Good news and bad news. The good news is we're on board. The bad news is we missed our ferry and we are 1.5 hours late. When we were approaching the passport control area, our driver was giving a kind of a praying gesture to some of the staff as if he needed to get through fast. And then when our bus was selected for a random luggage check, he just kind of threw his hands up in the air. I just thought he was some sort of expressive French driver, but no. He knew he was going to miss this ferry, and we did. So we're 1.5 hours late, which means 1.5 hours late into Calais and probably 1.5 hours late at least into Paris. I gave myself a 1 hour and 50-minute connection at Bercy bus station in Paris, so I've got 20 minutes. Originally I was planning on going to get a meal, maybe a little beer, you never know. No, I'll be going straight from one bus to another if I'm lucky. If we get delayed more than 20 minutes getting into Paris, I'm schnookered, but it will make a good video. Yeah, so I'm gonna have a little wander around, and I think I might redeem my meal voucher because I can't see me getting anything to eat when I'm in Paris, that's for sure. Okie dokie, a couple of updates. Firstly, that was the beef rendang. Very nice. I've had that before on DFDS. Excuse me. However, on this occasion, I feel as if DFDS were on some sort of an economy drive because the beef was a bit tough and there was more potato than beef. But it was still delicious. And it was worth the 35-minute wait to get served. Also, when I saw the 12:55 ferry leave earlier, that wasn't the 12:55 departure. I think that was a late running earlier departure. Our driver had a kind of a ticket in his window for the 12:55. That wouldn't have been valid on a later ferry. So I think the ferries are running late today because the ferry that came in and the one which we boarded, I thought was the 14:25 departure. It left at 5 minutes to 2. So in actual fact, I think that was probably running about an hour late. As a result, instead of really cutting up fine at Bercy bus station, I've got about 50 minutes, which is still 50 minutes too much, but at least I'm going to catch this Flixbus on to Madrid. Let's enjoy this scenery. This next leg to Paris, it's 3.5 hours and it is deadly dull. Usually the coaches stop somewhere to stretch your legs, which I might take advantage of. Otherwise I might try and get some sleep, or at least some shut-eye, because I didn't sleep much last night and I'm not going to be sleeping much tonight either. According to Google Maps, we're in a place called Aire de Raison Est. Because of French, not very good, is it? No, this is the usual stopping off point. I think we're here for just 10 minutes. The driver has been driving like a bat out of hell and he's making up a lot of lost time. We're about 90 kilometers out of Paris. We should be there in less than an hour. I'm going to have over an hour at Bercy coach station. I had hoped to pick up a copy of L'Equipe newspaper. The Tour de France is starting today and I thought, let's get it. But no newspapers, just books. And here I am at my least favourite bus station in the whole universe, Bercy in Paris. It's an absolute dump, it really is. On the ferry, I had my beef rendang. That was my lunch. I wasn't expecting to have that. I bought a baguette for dinner because I thought I wouldn't have enough time here. But as it's turned out, I've got about an hour and a half. So that gives me two options. I can either go and check out some of the places I was thinking of eating, or I can spend an hour and a half here at the bus station. What do you reckon? I want to get back to the bus station in plenty of time because I want to nudge my way to the front of the queue. Tonight's bus to Madrid is completely full. I've got seat 2A and I don't want anyone else trying to acquire seat 2A. So I want to be one of the first on board. Yeah, it's up here. There's two things I want to check out and they're up here. This is Bercy train station. I just want to check it out to see what there is in here, just for future reference. Okay, there are two sandwich shops, both closed because it's a Saturday evening. But during the week they might be open, but I'm sure there's probably better places to eat than there. Now this is a little bit of area I wanted to check out. There's quite a few restaurants as well. This is where I was planning on eating. I was thinking about a pizza and a beer, but that idea has just gone. Yeah, quite a few places here. There's an Italian one, there's a Lebanese restaurant. This looks like another Italian restaurant. I would have been in my element. At least I know where to come next time. Okay, there are just so many restaurants you can look at without eating in them. So I'm going to head back to Bercy bus station and stake my claim for a space near the door. Well, against all odds, seat 2A was still free. And I have a wee passenger next to me. I really don't like this bus station. Oh boy. I was actually going to use the toilets and then I thought, maybe not. So the boarding process at Bercy was actually quite organised. It could be because they're Spanish. There were 2 staff members there. Couldn't really get a photograph of the bus at all. There was a bit of a rugby scrum to get on board, and I've got a young lady of about 3 years of age colouring in and occasionally kicking me on the right hand side, so she's keeping me in my place. Right, let's get on board and I'll see you along the way. Mind you, we've only been on the road for about 35 minutes and we've already got to stop. Brilliant. This is our last comfort stop before we get to Madrid. We're about 3 hours out of Madrid, and I think he said 20 minutes here, but I'm not going to mess around just in case I misunderstood. And here we are in Madrid. At 16 hours, that was the longest of the 4 coach journeys, but it was actually quite comfortable. It was Flixbus, they always do a good job. Right, at the start of this video I did say I had a cunning plan, and the cunning plan is this. To get to Gibraltar, it's 3 nights on buses. Now I've been on coaches already for 2 nights and I haven't really slept at all, and I'm absolutely wrecked. If I was to catch the next coach tonight at 2200, and then arrive to the Gibraltar border tomorrow, I would still be arriving at 6 AM, wouldn't be able to check in until about 2 PM. I would be absolutely hammered. So the plan of action is to spend 1 night here in Madrid, clean up, get some rest, and I'll see you tomorrow when we continue this journey. And here I am at Madrid South bus station. That stopover I did, 1 night in Madrid, was really needed. I was so tired after the 2 nights from Glasgow. I slept for 13 hours non-stop and I had to be woken by an alarm. That's how tired I was. Anyway, I've had a day of recovery, and at 10 p.m. tonight, the 4th and final bus onto not Gibraltar but La Linea de la Concepcion, which is on the border. There are no buses across the border into Gibraltar, but that's as far as I can get, and the rest is on foot. 2 hours to kill. Well, the good news is the bus is on the departure board, but no stand yet. It's a little bit too early for that. I have noticed that it's actually not bound for La Linea, it is for Algeciras. So at 6:05 tomorrow morning, I'd better not be asleep because I'll miss my stop. The face you pull when buses before your departure and after your departure all have stand numbers, and yours doesn't. There's a sign up there in the main concourse, Interbus use 39 and 40, so I think I'll go down and hang around there just in case. It's still not coming up on the board, and we have 20 minutes to go. Everything else is there for the next hour, but not Interbus. I think a lot of these passengers are regulars. In fact, there's some actually standing outside in the bus departure area in anticipation of it arriving, so they know what they're doing. 5 minutes before departure, the bus crawls into the bus station and there's absolute free-for-all. Most people seem to be going to Malaga as far as I know. I couldn't see that as an intermediate stop, but there you go. And someone's had their greasy head against my window here, so not too many panoramic shots out the window. It's 1:45 a.m. and we are just outside of Cordoba, which is about the halfway point to La Linea. Boy, this is a tough one, this ride. Not a lot of leg room, and the guy who's in front of me likes playing, let's push the seat back as far as we can go. So I just keep nudging him back and he pushes it back. We're playing kind of seat battles, but I think he's been drinking and therefore he doesn't quite know what he's doing. Even the guy next to me sort of indicated in his best Spanish, push him forward and teach him a lesson, but I thought, no, I'm a lover, not a fighter, you know. So this guy next to me as well, he must be at least 6'6", and he's doing man spread all the way, so he's got no space whatsoever. Someone's chewing gum and is popping every 20 seconds, and the driver to stay awake is playing heavy metal, which effectively keeps half the bus awake as well. So this is a rough journey, this one, and I will be glad when it is over. This 20-minute break, not being in the coach, has actually been the best part of the journey so far. At Madrid, I'm sure I heard the driver saying something about Malaga, and I'm really hoping that my friend in front of me and most of the passengers get off there because it's the largest place they're visiting. When I booked this, I actually looked to see if I could find some intermediate stops, and I couldn't see any. So why was he mentioning Malaga? Anyway, we should be in Malaga in around about an hour and a half. Hopefully I'll have a bit of room after that. Oh, what a journey this one is. Oof. This is La Linea bus station at 6 a.m. Bit on the quiet side. That was a seriously uncomfortable journey. Note to self, never do Spanish domestic overnight bus trips. They're an absolute nightmare. We made it though. Things actually got a little bit better once we hit Marbella because quite a few people started getting off at that point and there's a little bit more room. The guy next to me moved across the aisle, so he was a bit happy as well. But we haven't finished the video yet because I'm not in Gibraltar. I'm in La Linea de la Concepcion, which is about as far as you can get by bus. The rest is on foot, and I believe the border is just down this way. There are lots of lights up ahead, so I'm assuming that's the border. I was checking online and sunrise today is at 7:09. So there's an hour to go before I can see anything. Although I can see lights are way up there That must be the top of Gibraltar. I do like crossing borders on foot. I have a condition which I call frontierophilia, a love of land borders. So this is right up my alley. Yeah, I can see it now. But I'll go into discreet mode with this camera because I don't want to be filming near a border. And so here we are in Gibraltar. That was a pretty easy land border. You hear all these horror stories about how long it takes to get across, but then I guess being 5 minutes past 6 in the morning, it makes it a little easier. Well, thanks very much for coming along. What have I learnt? 3 nights on buses. It's a bit of a killer, and especially, like I said, that overnight bus domestically in Spain. Don't do them, don't. Thanks very much for coming along, guys. I did appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.